Hello, welcome to another part of this course. Today we are going to talk about variables. What are variables? Variables are containers for storing your data values. So unlike some other programming languages, Python has no command for declaring a variable. To declare a variable, you just simply need to add a value to it. So these are examples of variables we have. We have x is equals to 2 and y is equals to Mike. And if you print out the result, you'll see that you would get 2 and Mike as the values for x and y. So variables do not need to be declared with any type. And you can also change the type along with changing the value of a variable. So this example has x is equals to 5 and x is now being assigned a value of Mike to replace the previous value of 5. So if you try to do a type check on x, you would see that the value was changed, or at the same time the type was changed when 5 as the value of x was changed to Mike. So let's see the example. So we're back to the code editor and I'm going to type in x as value of 5 and x also as a string called Mike, and I'm going to print out both values at the same time. So I'm going to print x initially when it was assigned the value of 5, and I'm also going to print x when it was reassigned the value of Mike, which is a string. So let me run this, run without debugging, Control F5, and what do we have here? We can see we have 5 and Mike. So it proves that the value of x was changed from 5 to Mike. So let us find out the type of the values that were given to x. So I'm going to print out just under the type and I'll do the same. So let me run this again and see it says 5, previous value of x, it was class int. That means it has a data type of an integer. Mike, the reassigned value of x, has a data type of string. So it means both the value and the data type has been changed. So how do you declare string variables? String variables, unlike integers, can be declared by using single or double quotes. So in this example, we have x is equals to Mike in double quotes. If you print out the value to give you Mike, and we also have that of single quotes that y is equals to Bob, and if you print out you would also get the value of Bob. So Python variables can have a short name like x and y as we saw previously, or it can have a more descriptive name like time of the day, the school name, total amount, and so on. So the rules for Python variables, there are 4 rules. So number 1, it says a variable name must start with a letter or the underscore character. Secondly, a variable name cannot start with a number. Thirdly, a variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscore. And finally, variable names are case sensitive. So these are examples of both legal and illegal variables we have in Python. So from the legal side, we can see that it followed the Python syntax for creating variables. Like the illegal variable names we have here, it didn't include numbers at the starting point or symbols. It didn't leave any space between characters. So Python can allow you to assign values to multiple variables in one single line. As we can see here, it says xyz, that is equals to cat, dog, and mouse. If you print these out, you would get cat, dog, and mouse listed. So you can also assign the same value to multiple variables in one line. So if you assign y to x and z to y at the same time and assign mouse to z, you get mouse for all the variables. So you can also combine both text and string variable with the plus character. So for example, here we have x is equals to a string small, and we would like to use this string to make a sentence. So we'll say print the car is plus the string. So let's try that out. So we're back to the code editor and we want to combine a string within a statement. So we'll say x is equals to small, or is assigned to small, and we want to include the y is the cat is, and we use the plus symbol for character and we assign the value of x. Well, we can't do that here. We can't do this because this now becomes a string. So we would like to take this part of the string and we want to add it to x. So if you print out y, we should get the cat is small. So let's run this and we can see here it says the cat is small. Remember that this is also the same as not assigning the statement to y, assuming we just want to print directly. And let's run it again. So it says the cat is small. So you can also use the plus character to add a variable to another variable, as we just saw. And here it says Python is and y is great. So z, which is a new variable, now takes the joining of x and y variables to give out Python is great. So for numbers, the plus character only works as a mathematical operator. The plus character doesn't join the values. It performs an operational addition to it. So if you combine a string and a number, you would get a Python error. So the only way you can be able to do that is to convert the integer type to the string type. So let's try and see how that works. So we're back here and we want to take this one off and we'll say x is equals to 7 and let's make y Mike. So now let's try and see if we can join x to y, and let's run our code. And here it gives us type error, unsupported operand type for integer and string. So we need to change the integer to a string before it can be combined to the y variable. So let's try that. So to convert to string, we use the string str method and we'll put in the value 7. And let's also at that point try to print out the data type of x. So we'll say type of x before we include y and try to join them together. So let's run this. So now it says the value of x has been changed from an integer data type to a string data type. It's been converted and it's been joined to another string now to form 7 Mike. So Python variables that are created outside of a function, as in all of the examples we've done so far, are known as global variables. So global variables can be used by everyone both inside of functions and outside. So we're going to create a variable outside of a function and we'll use it within the function. And as we can see in this example, it says x equals to great. This was a function created. So let's try that. So we're back to the editor and let's try and create a global variable that would be used within a function. We want our global variable to be a string called 7 and we're going to create our function that way, and we're going to state a print statement, the number of people are, then we add that to the value of x. So let's run this and see. So here it says the number of people are 7. So in Python, if you create a variable with the same name inside the function, this variable will be a local variable and can only be used inside the function. The global variable with the same name will remain as it was, global, and with the original value. So we're going to create a variable inside the function and we'll use the same name as a global variable. So as you can see in this example, the global variable created was the string called awesome, and within the function, the same global variable was changed locally to fantastic. But when we print out the Python is, you will see that these two statements will be different to prove that the value that was created for x within the function didn't change the global value of x. So let's run and see how this works. So we're going to make this just like we saw, awesome, and we're going to make x now great. So we are going to, within this function, print out the value of x within the statement Python is. We join it to x. And also outside the function, we're going to print out Python is the value of x in the global space. So let's run this and see. So here it gives us Python is great for the local environment here. That's within the function. And here it says Python is awesome for the global space. So it shows that x was only changed within the function as a local variable, and outside the function it remained the same. It wasn't changed. So normally when you create a variable inside the function, that variable is local and can only be used inside the function, as we saw. So to create a global variable inside the function, you can use the global keyword. So we can use global keyword as we saw earlier and make that variable into a global variable. That means whatever changes we'll make on that variable would force the variable to change throughout the entire global space of the code outside the function. So let's see how that works. So we're back here and we're now going to add the global keyword to this code we've written, and we'll add global x to that. So now we can see that it says Python is great and Python is great. So the global keyword has made x to be changed within the function. So how much did we learn in this video? We're going to now test our skills with these challenges, and I'm using Jupyter Notebook to run these challenges. So challenge 1 says, can you create an integer and string value of your choice and output the value? So you can pause the video, try it, and see if you can do that. So let me do that now. So I'm going to create an integer. Definitely just assign x to 4, which is an integer. Let me just make it 45. Then y, which is a string variable. Remember, you can use single or double quotes, and we'll call this Mike. And to output the values, we'll just put print x, print y. So let's run that, and now we can see 45 and Mike. So challenge 2 says, create a string variable and assign a number value instead to it. Confirm that the data type has been changed. So you can pause your video and try this second challenge. Okay, to solve that, we're going to create the variable x. We would call it Bob. And secondly, it says we assign a number value to it instead. So x would now be 7. So we said we should confirm that the data type has changed. So to do that, we're going to first print out the value of x initially, and we'll also print out what the data type was before we changed that. So you put type x, and we'll do the same for the value of x now after it's been changed. So let's run the code, and now we can see that initially Bob with a string value has now been changed to 7 with an integer value. So we've been able to solve that question. So the challenge 3 says assign different values to variables x, y, and z on a single line and output the results. So you can pause, try your hands, and let's see if you can get the answer. So let me try it myself. So I'm going to assign these values x, y, and z. Remember, you can do that. Assign it to James, Bob, and Charles, right? And we're going to print out x on different lines, x, y, and z. And let's run this code. So now we can see we've created James, Bob and Charles for X, Y, and Z variables. So let's head on to challenge 4. It says assign the same value to variables X, Y, and Z on a single line and output the results. So let's try and see how this one can be done. So X is equals to Y, which is equals to Z, which is equals to. So let's print that out. X print Y print Z. Let's run it. So we can see the value of XYZ is now James. Well, challenge 5. Use the variable X is equals to dog within a logical statement. It says X is equals to, or is assigned the value of dog, remember, with a capital D. So I'm meant to assign this value of X within a logical statement. So I'm going to print statement that's a big, and I'm going to join that to the value of X. So let's run this and see. So we can see we created that's a big dog. We're able to use the variable X within the logical statement. So challenge 6 says use the variables X dog, Y cat within a logical statement. So we're just going to do the same thing. X is dog and Y is cat. So we'll add a statement. So we're going to output this. It says this is the space, the dog, added again space and space the cat. And let's just put full stop there. So let's run this. So we can say this is the dog and cat. So the challenge 7, use the variables X is equals 7, Y is equals to dogs and output together as a string. So let's create the variables X equals to 7 and Y is equals to dogs, and we are putting together as a string. So you just print the value of X. Remember, X is a number, so you have to cast it into a string. So to do that, you put str, you put X, which is a variable, add that to the Y, which is dogs. So let's run this. So we can see 7 dogs. Yeah, if you want to make this separate into a statement, you would add a space in between here. Let's run this and see 7 dogs. So challenge 8 says create a variable which is X car outside of a function and use it in the function. So that's creating a global variable. So we're going to create X as a string car, and we're creating the function. We'll call it my function, and we're going to use it within the function. Print this is my, and leave a space, add X. First declare the, execute the function, or declare the function. So let's run this. So now it says this is my car. So we've been able to use a global variable within the function. So the last challenge, challenge 9, says change the global variable from X equals to my to X is equals to Bob in a function. Output the value to prove it has been changed. So let's try that. So we're creating a global variable called Mike, and we'll create our function my phone, and we'll say the same X now is equals to Bob, and we're going to print out the value of X, but we're going to also declare the global keyword to make sure that X is changed globally. Call the function, and let's run this. So we can see that we've proven that X has been given a new value and has been changed even outside of the function. So to prove that further, we can still use X outside of the function this way. Print the value of X, and let's run this, and we can still see that it remains Bob as its value.